And just buying anything with micro USB is just disgusting.
That's right. That's a non-starter for me.
USB-C or nothing.
Or Lightning. Even Apple's ditching Lightning at this point. I mean, the iPhone still has it, but the iPad Air doesn't. And the new Beats headphones use USB-C. So the writing's on the wall.
Sure is, yeah. It'd be probably a mistake to buy anything with Lightning or micro USB.
Man, you'd think. It seems like micro USB will never die. It must just be a cheaper port to put on things.
Oh, it's going to be so cheap. Because it's a piece of junk. And then it fails so often that you can just sell people more product because the ports failed.
Right. Yeah, I've definitely had multiple micro USB ports snap off of the circuit boards.
Did you see that Apple advertised the MagSafe charger as faster than USB charging?
No, where did they do that?
I can't remember.
I mean, what is the USB charging speed?
Well, if you've got... no, sorry. I've got this all wrong. No, the story's wrong. They advertised Wi-Fi as being faster than USB data transfer. I was way off. Because the phones now have Wi-Fi 6 and only Lightning ports for USB. So the Wi-Fi is actually faster than the USB for data transfer, but only because it's a Lightning port on the phone.
And their Lightning implements USB 2.0?
Yeah, I don't know if Lightning ever had USB 3, did it?
I don't think
the
there'd
first
necessarily
iPad
be
to have
anything...
USB 3 was with the USB-C port.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't think there's necessarily anything inherently stopping them from modifying the Lightning standard to USB 3 speeds, except the fact it's just not worth the investment for them since they're going to be ditching it.
Anyway, since we're talking about iPhones already, shall we talk about the first topic?
Yeah, let's do it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
iPhone reviews are out. Well, some of them at least.
It's driving me crazy, James.
iPhone 12 and 12 Pro. And I think that we are both buying neither of those. I'm going to say that you're buying the 12 Pro Max and I'm buying a 12 Mini.
Mm-hmm.
And your iPhone decision was made easy by something that the guys on the ATP podcast said.
Yeah, so this is like twofold great experience for me.
I just want to say that I saw your note that ATP to the rescue, iPhone decision made easy before I listened to their podcast, and then I think I know exactly the point in the podcast that you're referencing, but go ahead and I'll see if I was right.
Okay, I don't necessarily know if you are or not. I have been aware of ATP for years, and I've definitely listened to excerpts from their shows before, but I've never actually sat down and listened to a whole episode of ATP, which I'm disappointed in myself now because it's great. I really enjoyed it. I had an 8-hour drive that I had to make a week ago and needed things to listen to on the road. And I thought, I'll just turn on ATP. And I was not aware of this at all, but like so happy to find that their episodes were hours long. Because that made the drive so nice. I could listen to like 2 episodes. So anyway, yeah, great show. I'm really happy that I actually started listening to it. I recommend it to anyone who doesn't, but anyone who listens to us would already know what ATP is. They're way better than us. But there was someone who wrote in, I don't know if this was 2 episodes ago or 3 episodes ago. I think this was either right before or right after the new iPhones were announced. And they said that they've got a kit on the way. And they were asking, I don't know their names, if they're asking the guys in the ATP podcast if he should go out and buy a nice like mirrorless camera before his kid was born. And the majority consensus was that, yeah, now is definitely time to go out and buy a nice camera. This is the best time to justify it. You can never go back and take better pictures of your kids. Just definitely get a nice camera right now. And I found myself feeling the exact opposite of them but for the exact same reason. When my daughter was born, it was 2015, November of 2015. So just a couple months after the iPhone 6S came out. So the pictures I took of my daughter right after she was born are some of the very first photos that I've ever taken that are live photos. So I can go back and look at the day my daughter was born, and I can press on those photos, and I can like hear her crying seconds after she's born. And that's such a magical thing for me that I would have missed out on, and I would have completely lost to time if I had not had the newest iPhone. And the pictures taken on my 6S would pale in comparison to the quality of a photo that you could take with a mirrorless camera if you knew how to use it right. But I have no idea how to use nice, expensive camera equipment. So if I would have rushed out to buy a mirrorless camera right before my daughter was born, I probably would have taken worse photos than I got on my 6S, because I don't know anything about f-stops or whatever else other fancy camera terms. So the fact that I went out and bought the nicest iPhone camera, which is the camera I'll always have with me, it's the camera that I'm going to use because it's the one I know how to use. The fact that I went out and bought the newest, nicest iPhone at the time is why I have these awesome photos now. And as soon as I started thinking about it in context of my kids and exactly what they said in the podcast, you can never go back and take nicer photos. It made the decision to buy the phone with the nicest camera easy for me. I'm not going to get live photos this year or anything quite like that, but if the kids are doing something in the evening or at night, having an 87% dark light performance boost in the 12 Pro Max means I'll get way better photos on that camera than I would if I settled for the 12 Pro. And so
what do
even
you
though
mean
I'm
you're not getting live photos this year?
I'm not getting anything that's in the same realm as live photos, right? There's not a big camera jump, except it's just better at low light and more stable. So if I'm recording a video of the kids playing or anything like that, it'll just be better. And so through the lens of just, I can never go back and get better photos for my kids, I can put up with carrying the bigger phone that I may or may not be as comfortable with.
That's very solid reasoning. And live photos, I didn't even consider that as like a selling point in favor of the iPhone, but it is.
Oh yeah.
And fair point too that you might not know how to use like a big fancy camera and end up actually with worse photos. You'd have to invest time in learning how it works, and then also probably invest time in learning how video works to then duplicate the effect of having a live photo just by taking videos in addition to the photos.
Is there ways to do that? Like take a short video at the same time as taking a picture?
No, it would be alternating photo and video. Yeah. Two different skills to learn.
Even though I don't go back and press and hold to replay a lot of my live photos, the fact that I can go and tweak the photo a few seconds forward or back in time to get when everyone's looking at the camera or everyone's smiling, that's a feature I use multiple times a week that I would completely miss out on if I went for something like that.
And the big camera equivalent of that is like taking 5 photos in a row and then having to sort through them later and
right.
Just like generating 100 megabytes worth of data in half a second, which all takes up space and then has to be backed up, and there's a burden to that sort of thing. So another point to iPhone.
Right. So yeah, just because I know that I would never, well, this is a silly comparison because even if I did ever spend the time to learn how to take really good photos with a high-end camera, it's not something I'm going to be carrying around at all times. So even if I had both available, I'd still want the nicest iPhone for all those times I'm not carrying my big camera around.
You really have to be interested in cameras, I think, to carry a big camera around on you all the time.
Right.
Well, that's actually not the point I thought you were going to make at all. No surprise.
What were you thinking?
I thought it was the point where Marco said, well, if you've already got an 11 Pro, then a 12 Pro is like basically the same thing. So you may as well get a 12 Pro Max to make a real difference.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Way off.
It is hard for me though, This is the first year, well, since the iPhone 10 really, that I don't have a phone on launch day. And the iPhone 10 was hard for me. I was as close as you can get to buying an iPhone 8 to carry me through those couple months until the 10 came out. And I'm feeling the same way right now. It's like, well, I could still just go get a 12 Pro right now and use it until the Pro Max comes out.
David, that's tragic, you know.
If you listen back to me doing the show on my own before you came in the voice channel, that's exactly what I said to myself. So,
did you record that part?
Yeah, it's recorded.
Yes, I will hear it. I look forward to it.
Anyway, I think I can hold out since it's only a couple of weeks this time. It's not 2 months like it was in 2017 when the iPhone 10 came out.
Is the Pro Max pre-order and released in sync with the 12 mini?
Yeah, same time.
Okay, so the 7th or the 6th, maybe for you, of November for the pre-orders.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few weeks after that for the release?
It's the following Friday, so 1 week later.
Oh, only a week later. Nice.
Yeah.
I think Apple's done that just to stagger the amount of press that they're all getting, and yeah, basically for that reason, I'd say.
Maybe. I was leaning towards production delays, but it could be possible. They've definitely been staggering their press this fall, so.
Yeah, pretty strong rumors even about another event next month.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt that's going to happen. This is a weird thing to say. I had a dream about this event, this upcoming November event last night.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I was in an Apple store, and Craig Federighi was in the Apple store with me, and they were doing some kind of early hands-on for developers with this updated iPad Pro that they were going to release. I don't know if they actually released an updated iPad Pro in November, but it was like a developer sample of the iPad Pro. So it was like in a protective plastic case where you really couldn't see it, but you could interact with the operating system and stuff. And I was asking Craig about the official design, and to answer my question, he pulled up on his phone, like he had the pre-recorded keynote that they're going to show in November, and he was looking up in the keynote exactly what they were going to say about it. And then he just sent me the keynote, and I got to watch the whole thing early, and I was so happy.
You're such a huge Apple fan. Even your dreams have Craig Federighi and Apple keynotes in them.
And it was like the best dream I've had in years. Yeah.
Yeah.
I woke up so happy.
Oh man! By comparison, my dream, I took control of a barge and was like caning around a river in this barge, like a 100-meter long barge.
Was Craig Federighi there?
No, sadly not. Apple failed to feature in this dream. Speaking of plastic cases, the iPhone 12 plastic case seems to be a little bit of a sad case. Design. It's breaking already for a couple of people, and just seems to be like a really bad quality plastic. And to charge, what was the amount? Was it 35 or 55? Seems a bit ridiculous considering you can get them for like $5 for basically the same thing on eBay or Amazon.
These are the new silicone cases?
Just the clear one I'm talking about specifically. Clear plastic.
I see. And yeah, the clear ones did look pretty cheap this year.
Are you going caseless?
Oh yeah, that's all I ever do. Especially this year with such a big phone. I do not need anything else to add to the size.
Yeah, big phone plus case is a monster.
So I think I've said this before, but Apple Care is my case. So I've laid out my reasoning for my iPhone choice. How did you settle on the 12 mini?
Well, the ATP podcast came to the rescue for me as well.
Okay.
It seems that whatever you already have in mind, the ATP guys will enunciate in some way just to solidify that decision for you. And for me, it was when they said that the differences between the 12 mini, well, really the 12s, both 12s and the 12 Pros is really so little to justify such a massive increase in cost that you'd really have to want the extra specs that the Pro or the Pro Max give you to justify spending the extra money. And for me, the only thing that was kind of borderline was getting the 60K, 60 frame per second Dolby Vision video, because only the Pros give you the higher frame rate. That's the only thing that was pushing me, and I thought, well, like to save like $700 Australian, I can give up like 30 frames per second for a year or 2 or 3 or however long I keep this phone. It's going to be fine. I'm sure I'll survive. And if I ever want 60 FPS, then, well, I can just switch off the Dolby Vision video mode and get it anyway. So, yeah, that was really the only spec. The telephoto camera, I mean, I think I've talked about this before, that the actual camera specs for stills don't matter as much to me because I'm nearly always carrying a big camera. There's more the video specs at the moment.
You've said to me in the past, though, that you wished the standard camera was at the focal length of the telephoto one because you prefer that tighter zoom or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're going to lose that as an option at all.
Yeah, but the telephoto is just a worse camera. So
Right.
if the normal, which they call the wide, was at the telephoto length, I'd be very happy. But just to lose the telephoto as it is with its, what is it, like a f2.2 and yeah, just fairly poor performance by comparison, I'm happy to give that up.
I think that's right. I think the 12 Pro is f2.0 and the Pro Max is f2.2.
That's
the
right.
Max had that slightly worse telephoto.
Yeah, although it has a slightly longer focal length, or 65mm equivalent.
Right.
And there's always the option to crop, lose a few megapixels.
Right. That was something enunciated in the ATP podcast I never thought about before. I've always thought that if I had to do a digital zoom, I would just not and crop it later. But they did mention something, I think in the latest episode, that there is some computation done on the phone's part that knows if you're doing a digital zoom, it'll try to intelligently put in pixels that just don't exist to make the photo look better, and you miss out on that if you just crop later.
Yeah, I wonder how true that is. I don't have actually I do have a dual camera phone, Yasmin's phone, to actually test that, see if that theory holds true. Do you know if that's a fact or just a hypothesis?
It's the first I'd heard of it, but it made sense when they said it.
Okay. I might make a note to do that test then. Maybe I'll stick the phone on a tripod even, just to make sure it's like really precise. Take one photo with the telly, one with the normal, and then try and crop the normal to the telly.
Well, you don't want to do it with a telephoto. You want to try to compare it to the digital zoom, right?
So take 2 photos.
Probably.
No, take one photo with the telly and one with the... one with the normal digitally zoomed to the same focal length.
You could do that with your own phone. That'd probably be easier to do with your own phone to ensure that it's using the same camera both times.
Yeah, all right. So it's only using the one camera lens.
Right.
One's cropped, one's digitally. Yep.
I'd be interested to see the results of that.
I'll give it a crack.
All right.
We're really all over the place with this iPhone 12 talk.
I know. I just stopped myself. I'm going to put a post-show question in. I was about to talk about it and pull us even another direction.
I wanted to talk about the... you're changing up. Okay.
I told you I'm putting post-show notes in.
Okay. You mentioned... we're talking about the focal lengths and losing the telephoto for on the 12s. But I just had a thought that when you're actually recording video, I think the telephoto is probably too tight. I think when you're recording video, the wide, aka normal lens, is a better lens to record with. So that yeah, that helps me make the decision as well.
I wonder how much the difference in frame rates for the Dolby Vision is a software limitation, or if the extra 2 GB of RAM in the 12 Pro is really what makes the difference there.
Most people are siding with it's the RAM that's the difference, but I reckon it's just going to be a software limitation.
Right. It's like when Siri came out on the 4S and older iPhones never got Siri, but the jailbreaking community was able to enable it on older devices and it worked just fine.
So much of the video processing is done in hardware that I doubt the RAM usage is even very high for video recording.
I am excited for more apps to stay in memory with the extra couple of gigabytes of RAM.
Oh yeah, my 10R is just shocking. Like you can literally switch between apps and then the first one you're at has lost where it was at. It's been really bad since iOS 4. Even iOS 13 was bad in the early days.
Well, the iPhone XR has 3 gigabytes of RAM, so you'll get an extra gigabyte with the 12 mini.
Hopefully that'll help, and hopefully Apple put some effort into just improving the memory usage of the apps. In the 13.0 days, it was just a software bug more than a hardware bug. Actually, I think I was probably even running an SE back then, and it was struggling on the 13.0s, and then maybe 13.1 or 13.2. When those came out, it went back to normal, like what you'd expect. You can switch, half a dozen or a dozen apps and still end up at the same spot.
Well, I know their RAM management is pretty good with the 6 gigs. Everything Apple Pro made a video a couple days ago doing a speed comparison between the 12 Pro and the 11 Pro. And he launched a page of different apps and games. And then after having all those games launched and in the background, he rendered or exported a 4K video. And then the 12 Pro had all of the games still running in the background. It was all still in RAM. And the 11 Pro had to reopen most of them.
Okay, wow.
So, yeah, I'm definitely excited about that.
How excited are you about 5G?
I'm going to have to have my iPhone to have a real answer to that. I mean, really, the answer is not at all. I've never felt like my phone wasn't fast enough. But there are parts of my town that I don't have the best service. So if potentially my carrier has better 5G support in some places, I might have better coverage in general, which is the main gain I would hope to get out of this.
There have been some really mixed reviews coming out about 5G. There was a good review by Joanna Stern on the Wall Street Journal, who also tested the millimeter wave 5G and was getting ridiculous download speeds. But the point I remember from that review is that she downloaded 4 gigs in 3 minutes and it burnt 15% of the phone's battery in doing so with millimeter wave.
Oof. See, that's another benefit of the 12 Pro Max. I'm not gonna have to worry about battery life almost at all, which is gonna be just the opposite for you.
Yeah, it would be, but at least in Australia or any model outside the United States, there is no millimeter wave version of the phone.
Right.
So we just gonna be using regular old 5G whenever that comes about.
Do you have any of that coverage in your area?
I have not even checked. There probably is. The biggest telco here is advertising it like crazy, so yeah,
okay,
it's got to be there.
Well, I've got Verizon, so that's the one to be on, apparently, according to Apple.
Nationwide 5G.
Yep.
You guys get an ugly cutout in the side of the phone for the millimeter wave antenna, which I thankfully miss out on.
I mean, it doesn't look much worse than just the SIM door.
Yeah, the SIM door's ugly enough, and now you've got 2 of them.
That's fair.
I'm just trying to console myself that there's no millimeter wave versions here.
Oh, it's definitely not a selling point for me. I don't think I'll ever use millimeter wave, so I get the ugly cutout and no benefit.
Well, maybe if you ever find yourself at a sports game again, you'll get like a 1 Gbps when you're trying to, I don't know, post something to Instagram to show that you're at a sporting stadium.
Right.
Isn't that what everyone does?
I mean, if you look at my Instagram, the last time I was at a baseball game, I've posted a photo of the stadium, so I guess you're right.
Case in point.
One thing I've gotten out of all these reviews coming out is mixed feelings about MagSafe. It seems like the magnets aren't as strong as I would have anticipated them being.
That's actually the next topic.
Okay, we could save it for the next topic.
Well, is there anything else we should talk about the 12s, the reviews, or before we move on? I guess the next point is probably MagSafe, so...
Yeah.
All right, carry on.
My takeaway so far is that this, specifically the magnetic wallet accessory, doesn't seem like it stays on the phone very well, especially when it's coming in and out of pockets. So I'm curious what that means about these other accessories coming out, like the Belkin car mount accessory. If the magnet's not strong enough to hold a wallet on, I wonder how well a phone will be held up just by magnets in a car.
I'm saving my decision on this because the reviews coming out are so mixed. Like, for example, the MKBHD video where he was putting the phone in and out of his pocket and then the wallet part would just like slide off, seemingly extremely easily. And then on the other hand, some other reviews are saying that there was no problem and they were doing the exact same thing and it was staying on there.
Really?
Some people were like swinging their phone around attached to MagSafe and it was fine, and some people would like put it on their fridge and it would slide down. So either there's some sort of quality control issue, or some people are just have different expectations and to how strong the magnets would be, and their opinion is varying because of that.
Well, it will partly depend on the accessory as well, because the strength of the magnets in the accessory will determine the connection as a whole. So maybe these car mounts will have much stronger magnets than the wallets themselves or just the charging pucks. And maybe Marquez just wears really tight pants.
Maybe does. There is a spec for how strong the magnets can be for the MagSafe spec. And it is a range. It's not a set strength.
And I'm not familiar enough with how magnets work to tell you like what the high end of that range looks like, if it would be strong enough to hold a car to a mount. It has to be, right? Because Belkin's making an accessory. So I guess I'm holding my judgment until I can see exactly how it works in practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was in the keynote.
Right.
Calculated in the topic that Apple missed the point of the word MagSafe. Says there's no idea why they didn't offer a 2-meter cable for the MagSafe charger, which is a fair point, because if you actually want to use the phone while it's on the MagSafe charger, you need a bit more than what they've given, which is just shy of a meter. You're not going to have it plugged into the wall and be using it at the same time.
Right. I feel like, man, I don't know. MagSafe is such a weird middle ground between a wireless charger and something you just plug into your phone. Because I can understand why you don't offer a 2-meter cable for a wireless charging pad. You're not expected to be charging and holding your phone at the same time. You just set it down. But because the MagSafe charging puck is kind of in that weird middle ground, I can definitely see people wanting to use their phone while it's charging. And maybe that's not a case that Apple was anticipating initially.
For the moment, someone can just plug their phone into Lightning if they want to use it while it's charging. But when the next phone doesn't have any charging port, then there's going to have to be another solution. And I think MagSafe with a longer cable might be it. I do wonder, for people who like to play intensive games on their phones, if MagSafe is even going to charge it fast enough to keep the battery charged while they're playing.
Yeah, I don't know. MagSafe, that's actually an interesting, I guess, improvement that I hadn't thought about before. If you're playing a game on your phone and you're holding it in landscape, your phone can charge without there being an annoying cable coming out the bottom where you want your hand to be. Instead, it can be just stuck to the back and hanging down the middle. So that would make playing and charging a lot nicer, at least.
I actually never minded having my phone in landscape while there's something charging, because what I would do is use the cable, the actual like where it plugs into the phone, as like a rest on my finger to actually make it easier to hold the phone. So,
Huh.
Yeah, I never saw that as a downside, actually.
Well, I can't even think of the last time I used my phone plugged in, so maybe I'm not one to talk.
Yeah, me either. I didn't actually read out what this topic was, but it's a post by Kufu, who says that MagSafe was originally designed for laptops, so if someone tripped over the power cable, the cable would detach safely and not pull the laptop down with it. But fair point, if someone trips over the iPhone's MagSafe, it's probably going to take the phone down with it.
Yes, I mean, Apple invented MagSafe, so to say they're missing the point, I don't think that's true. They can say whatever they want. It's MagSafe. It's their word. But they also called the charger for the Apple Watch MagSafe. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
In the announcement video of the original Apple Watch, back when we still had Johnny Ive voiceovers for those product videos, when he was talking about the charging puck for the Apple Watch, he said, "We've combined our MagSafe technology with inductive charging to create the Apple Watch charger." So even though it's never been labeled as MagSafe in any real way, at least Apple internally have thought of it as kind of a MagSafe accessory. So in that sense, this is a very much obvious continuation of that design.
So MagSafe just means magnets, really, and less
Right.
about the safety part of it. Maybe it's safe as in it doesn't give you an electrical shock when you're trying to use it.
I mean, I don't know how you would make a quote-unquote MagSafe charger for a phone. Even my charging pads that have no magnets in them at all and aren't really connected to the phone anyway, if someone were to trip over my charging dock, my phone is sitting on it and it would still get knocked on the floor at the same time.
Yeah, I think that would probably happen to mine as well. Unless it was like the cheapest of cheap slippery plastic Qi charger, it's probably going to bring the phone down with it.
Oh, and you do like one of those tablecloth tricks where it gets yanked so fast that the phone stays on the table?
Yeah, if you're tripping over my phone, you want to do it quickly.
I think we are going to see a merger of MagSafe and the smart connector, and suddenly that's how we'll get MagSafe with data. Basically, maybe the smart connector itself will get moved under the MagSafe charging disk, or they'll just start calling the whole thing MagSafe and get rid of smart connectors as a whole. But I think MagSafe is already like a great name for all the magnetic accessories the iPad Pros have had, and they all have the smart connector built in.
How would you have a smart connector when the MagSafe can be like any orientation on the back of the phone, though?
Well, I guess if you had a MagSafe cable for data, it would use that alignment magnet below the circle to make sure it's put on in the correct orientation.
Okay.
But it's...
Yeah, I mean, you really have to have some sort of connector on there still.
Right.
If they get rid of the port. So it makes sense to go with the smart connector.
And Apple's been experimenting with the smart connector on iPhones for years now. It was back with the iPhone 7. That was the first time we heard rumors the iPhone Pro. They were going to have an iPhone 7 Pro with a smart connector on the back. And we saw, like, I don't remember how we saw these renders or design sheets or something, mock-ups of the iPhone with the smart connector on the back. So this is definitely something they've been thinking about for a while.
Yeah, I think you'll probably be proven right. Do you think it'll be next year though, or the following?
I think we're going to have a 12S year next year, and I think we'll get a minor spec bump to the A15. Maybe we'll see the in-body stabilization brought down to the standard 12S Pro, and we'll get 120 hertz display, and that'll be the 12S. And then we'll have an iPhone 13, and I think that's the first chance that we could have a portless iPhone.
Foldable portless iPhone.
Oh man, if they could pull off a foldable phone in a couple years, that would make me so happy.
Well, the current design, or the new design with the flat sides, lends itself to being a foldable phone, doesn't it? Because when it's open, the flat sides are fairly flush, unlike the Galaxy phone, which is kind of the rounded sides. And
the Z Fold 2 is much more boxy than the original Z Fold, so that's definitely the way that they're leaning with these foldable phones.
And then Microsoft's Duo, is it? All square.
Yep.
The iPhone 13 Pro Fold.
Oh, man.
Write that down.
I think if they have a foldable phone, they've got to drop the numbering. And they've got to either start from 0 or... Because I think I could see iPhone Fold or iPhone Flex or something like that. But the iPhone 13S Pro Fold or whatever, it's getting too long in the tooth there.
Yeah, it's a bit mouthy. Maybe iPhone Fold.
Now iPhone is an iconic brand, so I don't necessarily think this could happen. But this might be a chance for Apple to drop the i name, since they've been doing it with everything else, and they could have the Apple phone.
There's no chance that's happening.
Everyone
Everyone knows what an iPhone is. I bet a lot of people don't even know that Apple make iPhones. Not a lot. A small percentage.
I mean, there's a big apple on the back of every phone.
Every phone's in a case, though.
That's true. I'm sure you're right. There's definitely people out there that don't know that.
There's a little bit of a gate, I guess you could say, about how scratchable the phone screen is. We seem to get this like every single iPhone release. As far back as I can remember, there's some sort of hoo-ha about how easily the iPhone scratches. And we've got it yet again this year. So the ceramic shield is apparently 4 times stronger than last year's iPhone. But scratches just as easily, or maybe even more easy, depending on who you believe. But yeah, some people are finding scratches already, and it's barely been out a week.
I am more okay with that than I've been in a very long time, and it's 100% because of the redesigned body. Before iPhones went rounded, I was a big fan of tempered glass screen protectors.
Ooh, way. That's news.
I love them because they don't do anything to add to the thickness of your. I mean, very like 0.5 millimeter thicker, unnoticeably thicker, and it doesn't lessen the experience because you're still interacting with a glass display, so it feels nice and premium. So I love my tempered glass screen protectors. I always use them, and if you scratch it or you break it, you can just take it off and pop on a new one. And you got a brand new screen again. It's great. But when iPhones got round, suddenly there was a very noticeable edge, because you would feel the edge of the screen protector, and then the phone would curve away, and it didn't feel right. They never made tempered glass that felt good on curved phones. But now we've got flat edges again, and we can have just edge-to-edge tempered glass. I've already ordered my tempered glass screen protector for my 12 Pro Max, and I'm really excited to get to use that again.
Yeah, that's a good point. It definitely was noticeable when there was tempered glass on a rounded, edged phone. But with the square edges, as long as it's reasonably flush with the sides, you probably won't even notice it's there.
Yeah. So, and if it feels terrible, I can take it off, and I'll just deal with a couple scratches here or there. But yeah,
you
hopefully
just keep your
not.
phone in a sock.
Well, if this next year is anything like this year, my phone is going to be sitting face up on a desk for the whole year and won't get a single scratch.
Did you see some of the cases were shipping without speaker holes?
Yeah, I did see a couple photos of that.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, a very weird quality control issue to have.
Is there any other iPhone news before we... there was a little bit of hoo-ha about the MagSafe only charging at 20 watt with Apple's power adapter, but despite there being a lot of angry people in the comments, it's just because most charge bricks don't support the actual voltage and amperage that was necessary. Well, not necessary, but maybe what the MagSafe charger negotiated at for power delivery.
So there's theoretically other chargers that would work if they got all those numbers correct? It wasn't just like some weird handshake going on?
Yeah, there was one from Anchor, which would do the, what was it, like 9 volts at something amps. Whatever it is, I can't find it. Yeah, so there are third-party ones that will support that. I don't even know how you call a power profile. There we go. Power delivery profile, PDP. Yeah, it's not Apple just being like restrictive. Like you have to buy the Apple Power Brick to get the full charging speed, which is what everyone immediately jumped to as being the case. And they're not out to save the environment, they're just out to make another $10.
Right. I did have a moment where I considered not getting the Pacific Blue phone this year, even though I was so excited about it. So many people have been talking about how beautiful the gold iPhones are this year. Mm-hmm. And they do look great in all the photos and videos I've seen of them. And they've apparently got a slightly different finish on them that's supposed to help with being more fingerprint resistant.
Supposed to.
Right. So I don't know what any of these words mean, but from a Mac Rumors article, they said most of the iPhone 12 Pro finishes still use a physical vapor deposition process for edge coating, but the new gold uses a special high-power impulse magnetron sputtering process that lays down the coating in a super dense pattern, allowing it to be tough and super bright with a molecular structure that mimics the stainless steel underneath, making it more durable.
It sounds like someone just made up words.
It does sound like gibberish.
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
It's got an acronym.
You didn't clean the nozzle and it's just like as it's trying to coat these iPhones.
So, yeah, a slightly more, I don't know what durable means. Because there was a photo post, I think Max Weinbach posted a photo of an iPhone 12 Pro in an Apple store, something like a display unit that already had like some of the colors chipped off of the stainless steel band, so you could see just the silver underneath, and it looked awful.
Really? Yeah, I bet.
Which those phones get abused, so probably not really that much of a concern. But it is weird that it happened that quickly, so I'm a little nervous about not having the sputtered version. So, but I think I'm still pretty firmly in the blue camp.
It looks good, I think. The non-Pro blue looks good on Apple's website, and then I've seen some photos where it just looks absolutely awful. So it's going to be a case of seeing that in person, I think, to make a decision. But I'm still leaning towards black and possibly white. The red is a little not red enough, and the green just looks too like couldn't settle on a color, like a green, a white, or a silver. I don't know. A mint.
You and I have very different tastes in the colors. Then, after seeing them all in person, I am 100% red is the nicest looking iPhone 12. I've not been a fan of most of the product red phones, because to me they're too red, and this one's a little like, it's like between the past product red and the iPhone XR's coral color. It's almost like a salmony red. I really like that. And I'm a really fan of the kinda green minty color as well.
Yeah. So I think it's just a very conservative choice to go with black or white, though.
Right.
And the black looks great, so
it does look good.
Yeah. Having a black phone with an OLED screen, it's going to be good.
So you think you're going to do black then?
I think I'm definitely leaning towards black.
No personality.
Me or the phone?
Well, by extension, you, I guess.
I'm not sure if I'm going to choose 128 or 256 though. I know I'm going to be shooting a lot of 4K video with Dolby Vision, which consumes between 10 and 20% more space. But when I look at my current phone, which I'm shooting 4K video on all the time, it sits around like 64 gig of usage because the photo library just optimizes itself all the time. So I think I'd only get stuck if I was recording a lot of video and also not on Wi-Fi for a long time, which is probably never going to happen. So there's like an edge case where I might need 256, but I don't think it's going to be worth the extra money.
My phone is currently using 373 gigabytes.
Yeah, you don't optimize that photo storage, do you?
No, it says I would save 267 gigabytes if I optimized.
Okay.
I really like having instant access to all of my photos and videos without worrying about needing a good phone service to download the hour-long video of my kids play or something like that.
But it doesn't need to download the entire video before it starts playing. Like, it buffers, like, streams the video.
Right. Yeah, there's not a good reason for my, I don't know, neurosis about it. I just like having all my stuff on my phone. That's the big reason that I took so long to switch to streaming music, was that I really liked having all of my music on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
But I've since gotten past that, and I'm 100% streaming. So maybe I'll feel that same way about photos in the near future.
Well, I can give you one reason that you might like having them all on your phone, because if you like want to share a photo to a shared photo album and it's not on your phone, it's not smart enough to just like tell the cloud to put the photo in a shared photo album. It would have to download all those photos for the album first before it can share them to the album, which is ridiculous. But yeah, if they are optimized, then you do have to wait for all those photos to download.
If I'm paying $1,500 for a phone, I don't want to wait for anything.
Exactly.
I do use shared photo albums a lot. Like, I'd say 90% of the photos I take go right in a shared album that my whole family has access to.
Huh, okay.
That's the main... Like, I don't use Facebook to share photos of the kids with parents and grandparents. It's the shared iCloud albums.
Yep. I definitely got some of those. Combine that with the Instagram close friends feature. And
what is that? I've never heard of that.
When you post something to your story, you can choose to share it with everyone or just who you've nominated as a close friend. And for me, that's kind of immediate family.
So I don't make the cut, huh?
You know, I was just considering that, and I think you would make the cut. So I'm adding you to it. As we say.
I do enjoy seeing all your photos. You take some really good photos.
Thank you.
I had a creepy moment the other day.
Yeah.
I posted a photo just shy of a week ago that I had captioned another entry in my Pretending to be Artsy series.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. And yeah, I had one other photo I've posted a couple years ago that said I'm pretending to be artsy or something like that. So the day after posting that photo, are you familiar with the app Time Hop?
I'm not.
So Time Hop is an application where you give it access to all your social media. And so it has my Google account, and it has my Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and it has access to my photo library. And what it does is every day it aggregates what you've done on that day every year in the past. So I can see like a photo of my son from 5 years ago today, and something I posted on Twitter. Or I sold my very first Apple Watch on Reddit 4 years ago today.
So it even takes into account like your Reddit posts.
Well, it's not plugged into my Reddit. This just happens to be my photo library has the photo I took of my watch with my Reddit username.
Right, okay.
So anyway, but when you get to the end of the list of social media activity for the day, it has some random quote, and it's usually something silly. Like this time it says, "Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries," which is hilarious Monty Python quote that's very applicable to me because The Holy Grail is like one of my favorite movies. So that's funny to see that there today. But the day after I posted that photo, the text at the end of my Time Hop said, "I love how artsy your Instagram captions are."
Oh, creepy.
It was creepy. Thank you. Because I sent that to my friend, and I'm like, look how creepy Time Hop's being. He's like, how's that creepy? You gave them access to your Instagram.
Yeah, but I guess he's got a point. You did give them access, but it's like they're reading it. Like it's almost like a human has read it to be able to generate that, you know? That's
right,
what it feels
yeah.
like.
I've never once gotten a random quote or anything that was a reference to like an Instagram post, and maybe it's just a coincidence, but it felt weird when I saw it.
Do you trust this company? I trust to give them access to everything.
I trust them well enough. Let me open my Time Hop here and scroll to the end. It tells you how many days in a row you've opened the app at the end of your Time Hop. Let's see. Today is day number 1169 that I've opened this app in a row.
Wow. That's
So
dedication to an app.
That's over 3 years. I've been opening this app religiously every day, longer than we've been doing the podcast, longer than I've been working at my current job. So yeah, I haven't had any issues or security issues, and I haven't seen anything online about them having security issues. So I trust them.
Wikipedia article. Contents. History. Controversy.
Uh-oh.
It looks like it's more of a feature removal though, rather than... Oh, hang on. In early July 2018, TimeHop had a network intrusion that led to a data breach. Company had 21 million accounts affected. I think that just, goes with the territory though of having an online service. At some point, you're going to have some sort of data breach.
Right. And I use randomly generated passwords for all my accounts, so I'm not that worried about it.
Yeah, good. Just speaking of that, there's a feature of iOS 14 which is that it tells you when your password has been compromised, right?
Yeah.
And the first thing it told me was that my Apple ID password had been compromised. I was like, what is going on?
Uh-oh.
So I did a little bit of... Because that's not a password I use on any other service. So that would actually mean, I thought, that my Apple account had been compromised, which is worrying. But it turns out it doesn't link the compromised password. Like, it doesn't... If the password could have been compromised, anyone could have been using this password and had it compromised, and then it would flag my password as compromised as well.
Right.
So if Joe Blogs used the same password in LinkedIn and LinkedIn was hacked, then it would also alert me that my password was compromised.
Which is good, because if you're using a password that's been compromised, then it probably exists in some database somewhere, list of passwords that someone could potentially use a brute force and throw at your account, and it just go through every compromised password.
It makes like the dictionary attack list, basically.
Right.
But I think that's going to scare quite a few people because it doesn't really explain that anyway.
Oh yeah, it has. Man, I wish
it did explain
taken notes about this. No, but I did read earlier in the week or last week, there were people concerned that iOS 14 was like leaking their passwords because they'd update iOS 14 and they'd get a notification that your password's been compromised, and they've never seen that notification before, and they didn't realize it was an iOS 14 feature. So they thought, actually it was specifically to do with widgets. They thought that your widgets were leaking that information.
Ah, okay.
So people thought that I'm updating iOS 14, or they didn't even think about updating iOS 14. They just thought, I'm going to put widgets on my home screen because I can now. And they put widgets on, and then a day or two they'd get a notification that your password's been compromised. And so people were linking those two things and thinking that widgets were doing like a key listener or something.
Ah, okay. Easy mistake to make, really.
Oh yeah. For the
warning
layperson,
text in Safari is compromised. Many people use this password, which makes it easy to guess. That's all it says for one of my passwords.
Interesting that you would choose a generic password that other people would use.
That was an old account, which back before password generators were more mainstream, and I'll just put a word in, but all my modern passwords are created by Safari.
I'm in the exact same boat as you. My Apple account password is my least secure password of all my accounts.
Exactly. It's funny that one of the most important passwords turns out to be probably the weakest.
Yeah, my only comfort is really that I use a different password everywhere. So someone trying to get into my account couldn't find an email password combination somewhere else and use it to get in. So even though it's a weaker password, I'm still pretty safe.
My old pre-password generator system meant that every one of my passwords was different, but it followed the same pattern. Like I would use elements of the service I was on to create the password as part of the format. In that way, I had a different password for everything, even though it wasn't randomly generated.
My problem now is just that I have so many accounts that there's no way to keep track of all of them. So I had to get a
No.
password manager anyway. And when I finally did decide to move all my passwords to a password manager, I had to just generate me new passwords for everything as I added them in.
Yeah, it's the only way.
Yeah. The problem really comes when I have the handful of accounts that I need to type in a password the most. And I really don't want random characters and letters for those handfuls. So I have like a couple really long passwords that I have memorized for those specific accounts.
Okay.
Thinking specifically like a GitHub account where I'm in the command line a lot, pushing code up. And it's like, sign into GitHub, and it wants me to sign in the command line, so I don't have like my password manager integrated in the browser to autofill for me.
Ugh.
So for things like that, I have long passwords memorized.
Is it something like battery horse staple something? I can't remember the actual XKCD.
Correct horse battery staple. It is. It's a bunch of words, quote unquote words, but it's dictionary tag a safe combination of words because they're not real words.
Okay.
So even if you did a dictionary attack with a combination of 4 or more words, it wouldn't get my password because they're not in the dictionary.
Okay. We're way down the weeds. Should we talk about the next topic, which is that Apple's referenced next year's 16-inch MacBook Pro in a Bootcamp update. So in the Bootcamp 6.1.13 release notes, it says specifically fix a stability issue that could occur during heavy CPU load on 16-inch MacBook Pro 2019 and 2020, and also 13-inch MacBook Pro 2020.
When I saw the headline to this, I got really interested and excited. And then when I actually saw the article, it's just like they say 2019 and 2020 in a software update. I became much less interested in this whole thing. We're definitely not learning anything. It does make me wonder if we're going to see another Intel refresh to the 16-inch MacBook Pro before they switch to Apple Silicon.
I don't think there's any doubt that that's what this is.
Right. And I think that's what rumors are going with too. Everyone's saying we're going to see a small MacBook Pro get the Apple Silicon first and then the bigger one next year or something. So this makes sense to me.
Yep. Is there any word about Bootcamp on Apple Silicon Macs? There's nothing, is there?
I don't remember if it just hasn't been mentioned or it's been already like confirmed to not be a thing. But I do know when they introduced Apple Silicon in the summer, they specifically talked about virtualization still being a thing. But dual booting is theoretically possible. There's ARM versions of Windows.
True.
But I don't know if we'll see that right out of the gate. Because Apple's going to have to make some custom drivers for ARM Windows to work with their Macs. And I don't know if they're going to take the time to do that right now. They're probably more concerned about just getting Apple Silicon Macs out the door right now.
I bet they're happy just to let people who really want Bootcamp to continue buying Intel Macs. Maybe that can be like propping up that part of the market while they concentrate on getting the Apple Silicon Macs out the door. And then they can work on that a few years down the track.
Right. Yeah. I'm pretty excited for ARM Macs. I cannot wait to see what they have coming up this month. I guess obviously I'm excited if I'm dreaming about it already, but yeah, I am on the edge of my seat. Hopefully they've got a really compelling laptop because I need one.
I'll check the tea leaves in my next tea and I'll let you know what's coming out.
All right, sounds good.
So Apple is in talks to buy the streaming rights to the next James Bond movie, which is No Time to Die. And then you also put in the show notes, 2 bullet points, but the first one being Ted Lasso, which I like to pronounce as Ted Lasso. But what's he doing in there?
Ted Lasso is just a really great Apple TV Plus show that I had been hearing good things about and finally got around to watching and enjoyed quite a bit. So I thought I would share it with you if you hadn't taken the time to see it yet.
Well, I too had heard all sorts of good things about it. And I watched the first episode probably a week and a half ago. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was good, but I'm not going to watch any more because a lot of the humor is based on, oh, haha, it's an American in the UK. I was like, well, I don't really care about that. But then you added it to the show notes. And so I thought, well, I better watch a couple more episodes. And now I'm well and truly hooked. And so is the other one. So
Okay.
it's
good.
a very heartwarming type sort of show to watch, but also at the same time is not too many cliches or cringe moments, which I can't stand on a TV show. There's one or two, but not too many. Yeah, great show. And I can get over the US UK thing.
I think I specifically put it in the show notes because Ted is from Kansas. So
That's right.
And he actually came from, I guess, Wichita State University, which is one of 3 state universities. The only one of the 3 state universities that I didn't go to, but I'm still pretty familiar with. So it was kind of neat for me to be talking about like Kansas City barbecue, something that I'm a big fan of. Any shows that put a Kansan in a good light, I'm going to recommend.
Yeah, definitely worth watching. And I'm learning a little bit about American culture at the same time.
Well, don't read too much into it. He's definitely a stereotype, I don't even know what to call it, stereotype American, stereotypical American, maybe exaggerated a bit.
Oh yeah. You have to. It's a TV show.
Oh yeah, of course. But yeah, it's a good show. I liked it quite a bit. I've got through the first season already. I don't even know if they're working on a second season. They have to be, right? I think that it was renewed.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Let's see. Looks like it was renewed. They announced it in August. It was renewed for a second season. But I bet it'll be a while before we see it. There's a bunch of shows I'm looking forward to. I can't wait to see the morning show.
I wanted to recommend Ewan McGregor's show, Long Way Up, where he rides motorbikes from the tip of South America to LA.
Oh, really?
If you've watched Long Way Round and Long Way Down, I think, it's it's the same except riding in a different country. It's really entertaining. It's more like documentary style rather than entertainment style. Well, it's a doco.
Like documenting the cultures and stuff he experiences, or?
Exactly, yeah. The sites, the cultures, the fact that they're riding electric Harley Davidsons, which are pre-production, and Rivian SUVs, which are also pre-production.
Oh, that's cool.
The problems with charging them and the limited range. That's really the highlight of probably the first 3 episodes, but then they focus less on that and more on the cultures that they're riding through in all the different countries. And, I mean, I had a completely different picture of South America, specifically the West Coast. I thought it was just like crammed with people, but it turns out there's like no one there, basically. But yeah, can recommend
Check
that.
it out. In the same boat, did you see that there's a petition going around because the Peanuts holiday specials are only on Apple TV Plus now?
No, did not know that.
Yeah, I'll share the article with you. It just was published today by Mac Rumors. Yeah, I guess Apple has the rights to the Peanuts franchise, and all of the holiday specials are on TV Plus now, and they're not airing on standard broadcast television like they have in the past. And so there's a petition with over 100,000 signatures.
What a controversy.
Right. People buy the rights to shows all the time. It's funny that this one specifically is causing such a big issue.
It must be a North American thing, though, to watch these at Christmas, because
I mean, it's never been a thing for me. I wonder how much of this, how many people signing this are people that actually watch and enjoy the Peanuts holiday specials, and how many people just like, yeah, I hate Apple, I'll sign this too.
Yeah, there's probably a bit of that. On the Rocks was a recent movie that came out on Apple TV with Bill Murray, directed by Sofia Coppola. Did you watch that?
No, I actually haven't watched. Ted Lasso is the first thing I've probably watched in months on Apple TV Plus, so I must have missed out on a bunch of content.
Not a bunch. Bits and pieces.
Okay. Like I didn't
it's a well-produced movie, but it's definitely like 110% just a cliche storyline.
Okay. I haven't seen the new Tom Hanks movie on there.
Greyhound?
Yeah, Greyhound, which I've heard mostly good things about, I think. It's been a couple months since I've heard about it. Okay. I'll have to check that out too.
I think that's all I've caught, basically.
Yeah, all that to say, all that to just talk around the actual point of this James Bond movie because
Right, that's the actual topic, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't seen any James Bond since like the Roger Moore days, and
What? You weren't even alive then, so what are you talking about?
not that I watched them when they came out, but those are the only James Bond movies I've ever seen.
Well, and you started from like the oldest and watching through?
I don't know if those were just what was popular and on TV or just what my dad was watching when I was a kid. I've never went out and seeked a James Bond movie. That's just the ones I've seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Daniel Craig retired from playing James Bond.
I don't follow the franchise close enough, but I thought maybe he retired, but also had one movie to go, something like that.
Maybe. I've heard he's a great James Bond.
And that he is good. Yeah. Who was the previous one? It was it Pierce Brosnan just before that, or was there someone else in between?
I don't know. I could not tell you the actors' names.
Okay. Well, Pierce Brosnan got a lot of hate, but he was just like the James Bond when I was growing up and watching that sort of movie. So kind of like when you you watch a bad movie, but you're 11 years old and just like all movies are good. So
right.
Pierce Brosnan's okay in my books.
Huh.
The Odd Eyes commented, this is roughly the storyline. Bond is shot in the chest and falls on the ground. Everyone assumes he's dead. Bond reaches into his breast pocket and pulls out an iPhone 12 mini. Little do you know, Dr. No, your bullets are no match for the iPhone 12 mini with its ceramic shield glass, trademark, end quote.
Is that to go along with the James Bond theme they had playing when they pulled out the iPhone 12 mini? What if that was foreshadowing?
Yep. And Dat Frojo says, now I can use my Verizon 5G to stop your plan.
There is quite a bit of Apple product placement in their TV Plus shows, at least.
It's not overbearing, though.
No, and it's not... I wouldn't even say it's more than maybe the standard of the industry. I don't know if Apple pays a bunch to have their products be... If someone's using a computer or a phone on TV or in a movie, it's usually an Apple computer. Or if like props people just like using them because they're well designed and look good on screen or something. But that seems to be the case the majority of the time.
Yeah, I don't know what the case is, but I imagine it's something like they are the best looking computers in a lot of cases, a lot of the designs. Mm-hmm. Also reasonably timeless, at least in like a small time span, because the designs don't change drastically very quickly. But often you would see the Apple logo has been covered up, so
right.
I don't know if Apple's actually paying anything for that product placement.
I guess probably not if they're trying to cover it up.
Yeah, they're nearly always covered up.
I haven't actually seen this play out in any of the TV Plus series yet, but allegedly you could tell who the bad guys are ahead of time in their series because it's written in a contract somewhere that TV Plus series, the bad guys can't be seen using Apple products. So if someone's using an Android, they're probably the bad guy.
All right. I'll keep an eye out for it if I spot it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but maybe someday.
I could give away some storylines, like the team owner in Ted Lasso. I don't know how it plays out, but she's using a MacBook all the time. I guess wonder, she can't be the bad person.
Yeah, I wonder what qualifies as like a bad guy. Like if it's someone who's just doing morally questionable things, or if it's like a super villain. I don't know how that line is drawn or whatever.
Yeah, well, it'd be cool if they end up with No Time to Die, and hopefully they do it before February because everyone's TV Plus subscriptions were extended until then.
Yeah, they really need some things to bolster the library.
Yeah, well, it's probably due to that. Maybe due to COVID, maybe due to just pushing it until Apple One is ready.
Yeah, I wonder, because Apple One's supposed to launch this fall.
That's right.
So I wonder if you'll get a discount on your Apple One bundle. Fall is almost over. I wonder if you'll get a discount on your bundle if you have free TV Plus, or if you'll just have to pay for the whole bundle even if you did have a free plan already. The same way I have free Apple Music through my carrier. I don't know how that would work with the Apple One bundle.
Possibly not in your favor.
That's what I'm expecting, is that it won't be, which I probably just won't get Apple One then, because it's just going to cost me a bunch more money. So I would be curious to try out Fitness Plus, though.
Well, we should see it pretty soon. A watch update? Are you after an update about my Apple Watch Series 3 and the screen that detached itself while it was stored away for a few weeks?
Yes, that exact Apple Watch Series 3 that had its screen detached while it was stored away for a few weeks.
There is no update, unfortunately.
Oh, you haven't taken it to the store yet?
Reason being is that all of last week I was out in the country on a little holiday, so I had no chance then. And the second reason being it's incredibly difficult to get Apple Store appointments at the moment for some reason.
Huh.
It seems you can... Oh, firstly, the places you can go to are limited for Apple Watch. Like, not every Apple authorized service provider will do Apple Watch things. I don't know why, because they all just post it to the eastern states over here, even if you take it to the actual Apple stores.
Right.
But yeah, for some reason it's limited. And it actually turns out the closest options for me are the two Apple stores, unless I want to drive a long way. And the only availability they have is like 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. every weekday. And, well,
oh, man.
I have to work. So, but I did eventually manage to nab a Saturday appointment, and that's this Saturday, I think. So a couple of days after the show comes out, I should be heading to an Apple store to have the watch assessed.
All right, so you'll update us next time.
Yes. I'll probably have a response from them, I'd say, by the next show. If I take it in this Saturday, they send it over east, and then it comes back with a extremely macro high-res photo of some impact damage that they've discovered on the watch while it was untouched in a drawer. As is what happened with my last Series 3.
Oh, they sent you back a photo of damage?
Yeah, what they considered impact damage. It was an extremely close-up photo of a tiny nick in the glass, and that was their get out of repairing this for free.
Wow.
And then, you know the story. Less than 2 months later, they announced the program which covered basically this exact issue that I had with the screen removing itself from the body.
That was just like my iPhone 10. The one time I tried to just trade in my phone when I upgraded to 10S. Do you remember that?
And they told you it was like scratched beyond repair?
They told me it was like severely damaged and lowered my phone's valuation from the $500 or whatever they offered me to $0 for a 1-year-old iPhone 10.
I was looking at the trade-in options because when you're buying the new, like putting the new iPhone 12 or 12 Pro, whatever in your cart, it says if you're doing it on your phone, it gives you options like, do you want to trade in this iPhone? And then gives you different conditions to choose, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Nearly all of the physical damage conditions, it gives you the option, you can give us this iPhone for free. Even if it's working perfectly. If there's any sort of physical damage, they are not going to give you a cent for it.
Yeah. So I tried that one time, and I'll never do it again. I sold the iPhone 10 for like $700 when I got it back. So not only did I made more money than they were even offering me initially just by selling it myself.
Yeah, I think it's for people who are allergic to selling things on the secondhand market.
Right.
Or like grandma who doesn't know how to use eBay.
Well, they force your hand at some point if they're going to offer you $0 for a 1-year-old phone that wasn't damaged at all.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
So that's my watch update. There is no update.
All right. Well, we'll expect something next time.
All right. Well, I'm James VDM on Reddit and on Twitter.
And I'm Jellywoot on Reddit and Twitter.
And show notes are posted on reddit.com/r/the_Apple_show. I took to teaching myself what HDR was all about in the last few weeks.
Oh yeah? What'd you learn?
I learned that it's very difficult to actually publish HDR to any online service where anyone could watch it, is what I learned.
Oh really? Like YouTube doesn't support HDR?
It does, but apparently it's quite difficult to get like a HDR video onto YouTube. Like it's not just go to the upload page and upload it. It's a fair bit more involved than that.
Huh.
But hopefully, since everyone's going to have this coming out on the iPhone 12s, that they update the app just to make it easy. Especially with iMovie getting an update today to allow HDR video editing. Pretty cool. So yeah, looking forward to that. Oh, the other thing that I found funny about HDR video is because it's like, how do I describe it? Like, so the brightest parts of your video and the darkest parts can be way brighter and way darker than a typical SDR video, right? And then we have that fact that the iPhone Pro, 12 Pros can display higher screen brightness than the iPhone 12s. What is it, like 800 to 500, something like that? But they
I
can
think it's
both
1200 was
display
the 12 Pros max brightness.
Whatever it was. They can both, though, display the same max brightness on a HDR video, which is brighter than the iPhone 12 non-Pro's standard max brightness.
Right. This is completely a software limitation because iFixit's disassembly of the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro revealed they use the exact same display. They're interchangeable.
Really? Okay. Because I was under the impression that they got the Pro display from Samsung and then the non-Pro display from some other manufacturer.
Nope. Interchangeable displays.
Wow.
So that seems like I actually think that's a perfect thing to have a software limitation on, because it's something that most phone users won't care about, and if you do care about it, then I guess the Pro is the right choice for you. So
yeah, fair enough. And it might save some battery life on the Mini as well.
Oh yeah, hopefully. I'm really curious to hear how that holds out. Hopefully it's a usable battery life.
Since it's a smaller phone, I would actually consider putting a battery case on it if they come out with them.
You get this nice brand new designed phone, you'll put a lumpy battery case on it.
Hopefully it's not the camel design from like the previous ones.
Yeah, maybe they do something different, make it flat.
If there was a battery case that was like flush almost with the camera bump, that's probably way too thin. But it just made the back of the phone entirely flat and gave an extra 12 hours of battery. I'd be all over that like a rash.
Extra 12 hours. You could probably get like an extra 12 minutes out of a case that thin.
Probably right.
Huh. You need to get one of those cases that have the solar panel on the back so you can just set your phone outside to charge it.
How long do you think that would take to charge?
Too long. I actually don't even know if that's a thing anymore. Like, I remember the iPhone 3G, 3GS days, people made gimmicky cases with solar panels in the back, and it would take like multiple days to get a couple percentage of charge, so it was completely useless. So I wouldn't be surprised if people don't even bother making things like that anymore.
I think the current go-to setup, if you need solar charging like that, say if you're out in the sticks and there's no power, is you have like big solar panels on your roof that charge, on the car's roof, that charge a battery, and then like at night that battery then charges all your devices. I think that's the go-to setup.
Right. And I've seen setups that have like portable solar panels that kind of fold up like a poster board. So they're fairly portable and you can unfold them when you need to charge, and they're big enough that you can get a decent charge out of them.